we go. February 12th, 2014. Are we excited?
Yes.
Because guess what's coming out in about a couple of hours?
The new RoboCop film.
Well, reimagining,
reboot,
whatever.
Reboot.
A lot of things are getting rebooted in a sense, because, I mean, they've been out of commission for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, back in 2010, they were going to make a RoboCop remake, and the suit looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was a lot like the original, except it was a little different. I think it's pretty much what the one of the designs from the film was.
Yeah.
It was blue, sleek,
darker, you know.
Yeah.
And hopefully
but that idea kind of got canned.
Either way, hopefully this new film will break that whole curse of RoboCop and PG-13 being a bad thing.
Well, that is kind of a. Well, I mean, the first RoboCop was pretty violent.
Oh yeah.
If you've ever seen the unrated one, well, the unrated one, there's only like the scene where that guy gets shot by a 209 is a lot more bloodier.
Yeah. Although pretty much he got turned into hamburger either way,
Yeah.
you know.
Although that is pretty freaking brutal. I mean, we don't like when we see everyone hearing and you hear the sound effects and like it's looking at everyone else. That's where it's happening.
Yeah.
But he's like on the tip.
Yeah,
like that's
table twitching and
like he's pretty much the consistency of hamburger right now. But a lot of people compare RoboCop and Terminator in the same kind of box, considering the trailer had the theme.
Yeah.
In Terminator, which I think worked.
Yeah.
It didn't tell it. I mean, I never saw the trailer for RoboCop. I was born in 1990. This was 1987. I didn't see it till I was about 7 years old.
And I was born in 85, you know, so obviously I couldn't have seen it.
Well, that's the case for a lot of us, but I think it works better for us because we appreciate it more.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about it, but we know about it and we appreciate it. I mean, I love old stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. Plus, doesn't RoboCop sound like a B movie kind of thing?
Yeah.
It seems like a cash-in name, even though it's something a little bit original.
Yeah. And, you know, the whole premise of RoboCop and the Terminator and the comparisons went far enough that they even had
comics, and a couple video games.
Comics, video games. And, you know, I think with this...
And the new Terminator coming out next year.
Yeah,
they should do it. They should do it. Now's the time to do it.
Off and make it
would work.
A banger movie.
It would work. I mean, Arnold may be a little bit older, but that CGI Arnold from Salvation was pretty dang impressive.
Yeah. That I was going to say. I mean, heck,
I couldn't tell it was a CGI effect.
It took them forever, but they finally did a Freddy versus Jason. That was pretty dang good.
Okay. A little bit above okay. A little bit above okay. It was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
It gave us what you're supposed to get in a versus movie. Two icons beating the crap out of each other.
And then falling into water.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't want in RoboCop versus Terminator.
I think Jason won because he did behead him.
But the end phrase had winked, so...
Well, he may be a demon. He probably is a demon in that universe.
Well, either way, it just goes to prove that, you know, those two are unstoppable icons. But anyway...
Well, plus, I think they didn't want to piss off anyone.
Right. I mean, they did have an alternate ending where the guy and girl are going at it, and Fred and the guy suddenly turns into Freddy and kills her, and that's where.
Oh, like Freddy, like Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Yeah, maybe like a Freddy wins thing, and it's like, whoa.
I don't know. I want to do a side note. It's something we didn't mention, but Nightmare on Elm Street 2 seems to be the most weird. I say that because I mean, with sequels, you don't really know where to go.
Yeah.
But it seems just the most weird in a sense.
Yeah, I do have to admit.
It's a little different compared to as it goes along.
Yeah. It's... Okay, I'll give it this. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is the RoboCop 3 of that series. The one that makes you kind of stop and go, wait.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. but we're shifting.
We're swinging off track. Sorry,
but we are talking about 80s stuff. We recently did 80s month, and we pretty much skimmed over everything in the 80s. We'll talk about it more as we go along, but we really wanted to say everything that was there.
Right. Then if we did everything, we'd be here for hours.
Well, we can't do that, but we got lives.
Yeah.
But let's start with the first film. We talked about the comparisons to Terminator with the trailer music.
Yeah.
But, I mean, well, RoboCop is almost all metal.
Yeah.
All metal, except for his mouth.
Yeah,
and
mouth and
the
face.
like parts of his face.
Yeah.
But essentially, he is a cyborg.
Yeah.
He's got a brain and stuff. But
and
he's almost invincible.
Yeah. Although when it comes down to it, I'll completely agree that RoboCop does seem to get damaged a lot easier than the Terminator does.
In RoboCop, the first movie, he does get his correct number at 209, but he gets back up.
Yeah.
And then he comes back later and he repaired himself.
Yeah.
I mean, the Terminator does the same thing, but here's the thing: when the Terminator did it, he was still flesh. He had to keep undercover.
Yeah.
RoboCop doesn't have to. He's a public icon.
Right.
RoboCop needs no incognito, although in the Cable movies he did to get away because people thought he was going crazy. Or something, I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, that first film, it was one of the first really violent films that I ever saw.
Yeah,
and,
it was kind of like but then in Detroit, I think they really wanted to say, like, with a lot of the films back then, they had the corporate executives really bad.
Oh yeah.
Corporate executives in films were really bad.
Yeah.
They're only out to make money. They're only out to make money.
They drove home that idea, and
it's like its own hive.
And it's stuck with us, whether we want to or not. But,
I mean, it's like a conglomerate system. They took over the cops. They took over military operations.
Yep.
They probably own a few stores.
It boils down to the whole idea of something that owns everything.
Right, and they're even building a new freaking city. There's old Detroit, there's new Detroit in this movie, which is essentially a little bit, the upscaled stuff where all the corporations now move to get out of the crime. I think crime moved to new Detroit. It's not as big, it's more manageable, but it is there.
Yeah.
And then the RoboCop was created to get rid of it because they're going to bulldoze old Detroit.
Yeah.
Because they want to build Delta City, and RoboCop was essentially made, or Ed 209 was supposed to be made with for urban pacification.
Yep.
To establish order.
Yeah. And the first thing it does is malfunction and
because
blow the living hell out of someone.
Because he didn't hear the gun drop.
Right.
He didn't hear it. But a lot of these people are worried about their image, really.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got the corporate executives in this one are all, you've got the one guy who's at least somewhat decent.
Well, the old man's, he's kind of, he wants to help people a little bit. But we really don't know much about him because this movie isn't about him.
Right.
This movie's about the other guys.
Right.
And then there's this power struggle with Bob Morton and Dick Jones.
Yeah. And
Ronnie Cox and Miguel Ferrer. Who's going to be in RoboCop 2014.
I
don't know. He's some guy named Valen. I don't want to know. Not spoiling any stuff for me.
All I know is this. When they gave him the name Dick Jones,
you knew he was no good.
Yeah, he was going to live up to that.
And then as it goes along, you slowly start to see it come out.
Yeah, and of course,
and it's a brilliant performance by Ronnie Cox.
Yeah.
Before this, he was more a fatherly figure actor.
Yeah. And then ironically, that 70s crime boss shows up and
that 70s, Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah,
we gotta talk about it. A lot of the ideas for Clarence came from him.
Really?
Like him spitting on the paper with the blood, that was his idea. A lot of the costumes, the wardrobe were his idea. They actually went out into Detroit and just bought some stuff.
Yeah.
That's why they look like that, because he figured that's how the people were dressing there.
Yeah.
So he did that. And it worked.
Called do actual research.
Because, I mean, the executives are always wearing suits, but these crime guys You know, these run-of-the-mill, they're running around, so that they should dress like what's in the stores.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Let's see here. Kurtwood Smith did a really good. You know, that's probably why everyone's always afraid of Red Foreman.
Yeah,
that makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah, they look at his past and go, "You were
like he survived the stabbing and then just moved to Wisconsin."
Yes.
And married Kitty, his old high school girlfriend. Like, what have you been doing for the past 20 years? Flashback. Oh, I was in Korea. But really, he was doing that.
Nothing. Selling donuts on the street.
Actually, before this, Kurtwood Smith was in Rambo 3.
Ah.
He was pretty good. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was in charge of the operations in Afghanistan, but that's a different story altogether.
Anyway.
Originally, Arnold Schwarzenegger was looked at to play RoboCop as well. And that would have made no sense.
No.
And I think they had some other guy, but Paul Verhoeven chose Peter Weller because the way of his mouth. You know, whenever he was acting and he was doing his mouth thing, they thought that would be a good idea. Plus, he could do a pretty stoic face.
Yeah, it's like
when he stopped. Like the thing about what he could do is that he could talk and then
he
stop pretty good.
Talk and stop really well,
and plus he also took a lot of cues from Terminator as well.
Yeah,
because the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was told to move like a machine.
Yeah.
And actually, Peter Weller went to robotics labs and saw how they moved.
Yeah.
Like when an arm moves up and moves down, he took cues.
Yeah. That.
Like everything has to be a fluid or sort of semi-fluid motion. I mean, the machine has to make sense.
Yeah. But heck, it's like, speaking of that, in my VHS copy of RoboCop 2, there's a public service announcement, the anti-drug ad right at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
and
I heard about that.
Peter Weller talking to you about it, and even without the suit,
he still seems pretty intimidating.
He still seems like RoboCop. It's like
because he does a lot of narration or hosting on like National Geographic.
Yeah,
stuff.
and he.
Plus, before this, between RoboCop 1 and RoboCop 2, he was in a movie called Shakedown as a lawyer.
Huh.
And he was pretty good in that. He was pretty good. He was pretty good.
But yeah, like I said, he manages to do the whole thing of being robotic, but at the same time human.
You know, having a little bit of emotion, but not so much.
Yeah.
And then as the movie progresses, you know, he had the nightmare. He starts moving a little bit more human. Well, at least he starts talking.
Yeah,
he starts talking. Like when he's holding a meal, that's not really something a machine would say.
Right.
Because the machine is supposed to just care about arresting him.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if he's truly a machine, he would have known right off the bat who he was due to a crime database or something.
Yeah.
Or if he was internet or something. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But the point is, he starts talking. Not to mention, like, drop it, or when he gets out of the car. That's how a human gets out of a car.
Yeah.
And he starts struggling with himself.
And of course, you know that the first film has so many memorable scenes. I mean, like I said, the Atoll 9 scene, the part where he gets shot to hell, the rapist scene where the guy gets shot in the crotch. I mean, there's something hilarious and cringeworthy
in the dick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the RoboCop remake because that's total shit.
Yeah, I've never.
It's a parody. It's a downright parody. I'm sorry, and I hate. You know what? I'm gonna say it right now. The guy, Screen Junkie. No. End of line. Back to the other thing.
Anyway,
I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying that, but who cares? He doesn't watch my show. By the way, I'm Mr. Gunn 274. This is Jiraiya. I'm sorry we didn't explain this. We really want to talk this before we actually start leaving in about
half an hour,
45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40 minutes. Anyway, the point we're trying to make is that the first one was pretty good. We're not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Right.
But
if you haven't, you know, it's one of those things where truly, if you haven't seen it,
you should.
Dear God, go out and see it.
Go see Terminator as well.
Yeah, the original.
Don't just say you only need to see 2. No, you need to see the first one as well.
Right.
And if you can, see the Blu-ray edition, because there's some pretty wacky stuff in that.
Yeah.
But
Moving on.
no, I'm gonna say one last thing about the movie, and then
Alright.
when he starts remembering more, he's Murphy again.
Yeah, he's
Not completely Murphy, because he still says some.
robotic.
He doesn't really feel that he is yet.
Right.
That's not until 2.
Yeah.
Because he starts. Let's move on to 2. Because in 2, in the first one they said the wife and his wife and kid moved away.
Yeah.
In 2, he's driving by their house.
Yeah, and stalking them.
And the wife kind of gets upset.
Yeah, and
then the wife and Murphy actually meet.
yeah.
And he denies that he is. But a lot of people say it's because he was told to, but it's also because that's how he could protect them.
Yeah. That would
That's
make
the only way he can do it. Not to mention, what that one guy said from OCB made a lot of sense. He can't really do anything.
Yeah.
He the thing about him is that he has his memories, but he doesn't really have all of his. He only has the right side of his. I don't know, but he only has a certain part of his hemisphere we can actually move, function, and remember.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have the capacity for a lot of
emotions.
He can't offer much, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Plus, it wouldn't be right. It really wouldn't be right.
Yeah. And then eventually we move into zany comedy.
We're not done with 2, dude.
That's what I mean. I meant the zany comedy in 2.
Oh, yeah. When he gets when they tear him apart.
Not only that, but I was mentioning the RoboCop 2 prototypes.
Oh yeah, the prototypes.
The ones that's suicidal and the one that kills everyone.
The lady makes a whole lot of sense. The thing I think they were doing is that they weren't erasing the memories.
Right.
I think that's what went on, and I think they just forgot to do that because they realized it didn't matter.
The first one's homicidal and then shoots itself in the head. There's one that rips its own head off and
it's a
screams.
skull. Why go with the skull?
Mortal Kombat fatality? What? Ah!
Or Scorpion.
Yeah.
Scorpion. That would. I'm in the wrong movie. But in all seriousness, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was...
And then later on, it's more about the drugs in this film.
Yeah.
And not to mention the cops are on strike, because they mentioned in the first film. And the problem is Ann Lewis and Robo are the only ones still on duty.
Yeah.
Everyone else is on strike.
Yeah, pretty much.
And RoboCop seemed to find the drug lord pretty dang fast, didn't he?
Yeah, and...
This is a bust.
Oh, that reminds me. Bit of trivia there. The little kid in that movie.
The kid, yeah.
Is the same one who voices Littlefoot in the original Land Before Time movie.
That's a real mind. Well, this is before Land Before Time.
No.
When was Land Before Time?
Land Before Time was...
well, this was 89.
Yeah, the Land Before Time was about like 82, 83.
Actually, what year it is? RoboCop 2. 90, sorry.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I know Land Before Time was done first, then RoboCop 2 later, and it was one of those things that made you stop and go, what?
Yeah, I think we forgot to mention Frank Miller helped write this. Helped write RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
And we actually see him in the movie.
Really?
Yeah, he's the scientist guy in the van. And when the bomb goes off, that's Frank Miller.
him?
Yeah, that's Frank Miller.
Yeah, and I know that the main villain that they got for this one, I cannot recall the actor's name.
Kane.
Well, I recall the character name.
Kane.
Yeah, Kane.
I think Kane. Let's just call him Kane because
Kane.
You're only as good as the characters you play and then impressed upon.
Yeah.
I mean, with Arnold, Arnold's just Arnold, and
Arnold's Arnold.
Some people call Stallone Rambo.
Yeah.
Just call him Rambo or Rocky.
Yeah.
But
with this guy, he played Kane, he was Kane, and the longer you went and the longer they showed more of his personality, the more you realized just how twisted and sick the guy really was.